With the coronavirus rampaging throughout the country, should you wear a mask? Let's talk about that. With the United States quickly approaching 4 million cases of the coronavirus, should we all be wearing masks? Yes, we should. If we would like to see the economy bounce back, if we would like to see tens of millions of people be able to rejoin the workforce who are currently unemployed, if we want to see some semblance of normality return to our society, we have to slow the spread of the virus so that it's manageable. In order to do that, we have to use some common sense to be able to prevent the spread from infected individuals to non-infected individuals. One of the big problems that we're having is asymptomatic people that have the virus and don't know it. So what is happening is these people or carriers of the virus are going into public and they're infecting people who are not currently infected with the virus. So how do we prevent that from occurring? Well, there are two means to help prevent that, and one of those is wearing a mask. What the mask does, the cloth mask in this case, it's not so much to protect the wearer from the virus, but to prevent the wearer from infecting other individuals. What it does is it limits the distance that the particles from your nose and mouth can travel and infect other people. So in combination with social distancing, the 6-foot rule that everyone keeps quoting, if you keep your distance from people while wearing a mask, it will help to limit the spread of the virus. Now, you're not relegated to wearing a cloth face mask. These are about protecting others from you if you are infected, and not necessarily about protecting yourself against the virus. The virus is too small and will generally pass right through. That's why we have the 6-foot guidelines to go along with it. If you would like to provide additional protection against the virus, you will need to up your game as far as filtration of the air that you're breathing. And one way to do that is through a half-face respirator. Now there's different types. You have disposable and reusable respirators. These are disposable. These are reusable half-face respirators. I don't have any disposable ones in front of me. And what this does is this is a rubberized material that goes around your mouth and your nose and creates a seal and prevents all air from coming in except for through those two valves, and those valves are going to be protected or covered through filter material or cartridges. This is a particulate filter. It's an N95, as you've heard on the news, N95 respirator. This is basically what they're referring to. Now there's different types of ones you'll see look like dust masks. Well, this fits on the side. Actually, I'll show you that right now. So this is what they refer to as a bayonet style connection with the 3M system. So what you do is you fit, let's see if you see that. You got 3 nubs, fits on there, just like everything else, lefty loosey, righty tighty, and it snaps into place, and there you go. And you have one on each side, and what that does is as it brings in the air, it filters out the particulates that are in the air and prevents that from going into your lungs. Now, some of the recent, within the last couple months, the CDC guidelines, they'll say that these filters like the N95s, they will filter out particulates at a rate of 95% down to a size of 0.3 microns. Now, the coronavirus itself is actually smaller than that. It is 0.08 to 0.12. So the traditional line of thinking would be that, well, this just doesn't filter out virus particles. Well, that is not true. There's a reason why filters and cartridges for respirators, or the half-face respirators, disposable versions, are tested to 0.3 micron particulates, and that's because 0.3 microns is actually the most difficult particulate to capture. Now that may not sound right, but what happens is when you get particulates, now I've done the research, and I implore you to also do the research. Double check everything that I've said verify what I've said, and I will I will try my best not to lead you astray. But it is your duty to make sure that the information that you're receiving online, such as a video like this, that it's correct. There are verifiable sources that will back up what I'm saying right now. And what that is particulates that are less than zero point 0.3 microns, the testing standard of these respirators. They exhibit a type of movement that's not straight line. So anything that's larger than 0.3, I know I'm getting into the weeds of this, but things that are larger than zero point 0.3 microns, it's going to stop because it's too large. But the things that are too small will also be able to be stopped because they don't have enough mass, or their mass is so little, light or they have such little mass that they exhibit what's known as Brownian movement or motion. And what that is kind of a zigzag pattern. So while the zero point 0.3 micron items are only filtered 95% of the time by this, the things that are smaller than 0.3 microns are actually, this will actually prevent more than 95%. It's exponential on both sides. Again, 0.3 microns is just the testing standard because those particles are the absolute hardest to capture. All right, now that I've gotten that out of the way, so this is a decent respirator. Like I said, it creates a seal around your face and prevents the air from getting around, the edges here, right? So the important thing when wearing one of these is you want to make sure that you have a good seal. Now, generally in professional settings, you'll have departments where these will be professionally fit tested, right? So they'll make sure that the mask is the right size to your face and is providing a good seal. Now you can do these fit tests yourself if you know what you're looking for. One way to do that is to place this against your face and cover these gaps, or cover these cartridge ports, right? So when you do that and you breathe in, this should squeeze against your face. Now you don't want to do it too much, because if you breathe way too hard, then you might break the seal. But if you breathe normally, it should press against your face, and you should not have any air come in from the sides. And that's how you know that it's a good seal. Now this is the lower end one. These usually range around $20, $15 to $20. I wore this for about a week. I've actually been wearing a half-face respirator non-stop 40 hours a week for months now. And what I found with this is it's good for a short time use, but the material is kind of on the harder side, and what ends up happening is this will rub. This right here will rub towards, on the bridge of your nose, and it will create a raw spot and start to hurt after a while. Now, if this was all I had to go with and all I had to wear, I would absolutely wear it. But it is on the lower end of the 3M respirators. So, and you see the head straps, this goes over, kind of, the back quarter of your head, right? And then this will snap together. See, it'll snap together like that around your neck. Okay. Well, like I said, I wore it for about a week, but it started to rub my nose raw. And because I'm wearing this on a daily basis, I wanted something a little bit better. So I actually stepped it up, and I got the next level up. This is, I guess, their professional line of half-face respirators. Their designation for the types of respirators or the numbers that they use. This is a 7502 that corresponds to the medium size of this one. If you were to get a small one, say if you tried a medium, which from what I understand around 90% of people use medium masks. If you were looking for a medium, it would be a 7502. If it was too large and needed a small, it would be a 7501. And a large would be 7503. So the difference between this and that, obviously, it looks different, right? Well, this plastic is actually removable from the face mask itself. And this face mask is not the same type of rubber. It's kind of it's a silicone, actually. It's a lot softer and it creates a better seal than that will. But I've been wearing this for 40 plus hours a week. It may be overkill, but you know, if I have the capacity to be able to do so, I would like to do so, right? I'd rather not get this stupid virus. So these cartridges are the 60921. They're a combination of particulate filter and a gas vapor filter. This is kind of, I think, the lower end one. It's kind of got, I think it's charcoal in there. I could be mistaken. But when you're breathing through this, you're not smelling anything. It's kind of a sweet smell. All the air is being filtered through the particulate filter, through the gas cartridge, and then into your lungs. So, from my experience, the hardest part, I mean, initially the hardest part was to find the mask, because these filters, I've actually had these filters since 2014, I believe. Late 2014, because there was that, the scare of the Ebola virus, actually. So, in preparation for the Ebola virus, we had purchased this. If you go looking for this model, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to actually look like that. All right? It's not going to have the clear piece. It's going to be kind of a charcoal color, because that's the newer model. This one was also bought at the same time as these filters. Another good thing about the filters is they last a long time. Generally, if in a professional setting, you would want to change them out on their change schedule, because usually when you're using it in a professional setting that requires this type of PPE, you're going to be breathing in an environment that has a lot of particulates in the air, and it's going to clog the filter. But if you're not in those types of environments, these filters can last a long time, and generally what you want to do is replace them when the breathing becomes a little bit labored, like when it's a little harder than normal to start breathing. That's when you can tell the filter's starting to get clogged and it's time to replace them. But in reality, I've been wearing these exact filters for the last 2 months, 3 months almost. Yeah, coming up on 3 months on these exact same filters. And when they're done, I have some of the round style. Now these are P100 filters. These are the next step up from the N95s. P stands for the fact that it can handle oils, which I don't have to worry about. Really what you're looking for are particulates, and this is a P100 particulate filter. It's designated by that pink. And also this is the 2097. It is also a P100 filter. And what I will end up doing is, once those are done, I think I actually have another set of these that I'll be using from 2014. They have an expiration date. Like, these are another set of filters that I acquired months ago. But see, it's got March of 2025. Well, the other ones, you know, they had a 5-year warranty also, and they're technically expired, but they're the equivalent of a fabric HEPA filter, so they should be just fine until they're, you know, clogged-ish. So, one thing to note on this is it is a little bit more expensive than this. I believe retail this is around $15 or $20. This usually retails for 20 to 30. I won't lie, I bought this after the craziness began. I found it on eBay. Now you have to be real careful when buying stuff on eBay because you may end up with counterfeit items, and you can usually tell some of the counterfeit items, not always, but some of them you can tell because they'll have some silly green sticker on it. It designates it came from some other country or something. But there are legitimate sellers on eBay that are selling these for 40 bucks, and they don't come with the filters. Now you see the tape here. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I've covered the exhalation valve, which is right there in the center. So when you breathe out, it goes through that valve, right? It's a little piece of rubber there, and your breath goes out there. Well, normally what would happen is all your breath, instead of like on a cloth face mask, a cloth face mask, it would go out this way. Well, on this, it would go straight down. Well, in order to facilitate the same type of stopping that a cloth face mask has by trying to prevent, particulates from traveling so far, I put a piece of t-shirt material down here so it'll do the same thing. Now, keep in mind, you don't want to put too much down here because it does create a restriction when you exhale, so it's going to be a little bit harder to breathe out. But you get used to it after a while. Like I said, this is only one layer of t-shirt material, which is just fine. But this is what I'm wearing. Now, on top of a half-face respirator like this, another vector point that the virus is entering into the body, or at least scientists believe it's happening, is through the eyes. Now, one way to be able to help prevent that is through eye protection of some sort. Now this is a standard, not really a very well sealed set of goggles, but it's a generic couple dollars set of goggles you would find at like a hardware store. And this is the type of thing that would provide some protection against particulates hitting your eyes, because it's not like it's going to be crawling across your face to get into your eyes. It's going to be coming at you, right? So what you want to do is provide a shield basically. And with these half-face respirators, what I found is generally the best way to do it, unfortunately, because this kind of conflicts with the nose piece of the respirator, you want to have something like a pair of safety glasses, right? Now, if you have the safety glasses that are in between, sandwiched in between the mask and your eyes, if you're working hard, it's going to fog up. The best way to avoid that is actually to have the safety glasses on the outside of the mask, somewhere around there. So, anyways, if you pull them away from your eyes, they won't fog up like they normally would. That's just something else to consider. So for the last few months, I've been wearing basically a half-face respirator with safety glasses to try to minimize my exposure to the virus. And that's really all it is. It's not that it's necessary to always have something like this, but I'm working in an environment where I'm actually still having to be around other people, 40 hours plus a week. And if I'm going to be exposed to other people, I want to do what I can to protect myself from the virus and protect my family from the virus. And that's the big thing. So if we take this seriously and we wear just even the basic of masks and keep our distance from people and curb what we normally would do, like partying and going out to bars and whatnot, and limit what we're doing in social settings for just a little while, we'd be able to slow this virus, and we'd be able to get down to a manageable level. As it stands, we're actually the number of cases are increasing in the United States, and it's going to get bad if we don't slow this down. So, one last thing. When you're looking at cloth masks, you kind of have to be careful of what you're looking at and the advertisements that companies put on their product. So this company actually says they're having their mask tested professionally to see if it will protect against, or to prove that it can protect against viruses. But this right here, this is a sign that it's not going to. And when I say that, it says 99.99% protection from pollution. That's a telling sign. It's not protection against particulates the size of viruses, but like pollen and mold and spores that are in the air. So, this is going to be, slightly better, slightly better than this, because there are filters of sorts in there. But it's really not going to provide you serious protection against the virus. And this is another thing. You see at PM 2.5, that PM stands for particulate matter, and 2.5 represents 2.5 microns. So whereas these P100s are rated at 99.97% at 0.3 microns, this says 99.99% at 2.5. So it's, 8 times the size of the particulates that this is stopping. And this is really not a testing standard for particulate protection. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff. Be real critical of what you see. One last thing, the CDC has been making recommendations as to whether or not people should be wearing masks in public, and originally they said that they didn't recommend people in public wearing masks. Well, the places, the countries that have been fighting the virus the most successfully have been wearing masks, and it was known from the start that that's what they were doing. But the problem is the CDC was trying to limit the amount of PPE in the hands of regular people, which is good and bad. So it's good in that they're trying to protect the healthcare workers that need PPE, because obviously they're on the front lines. They're dealing with people that have the virus, and they need to protect themselves and their families. Otherwise, if they die, then we don't have people that are going to protect us or take care of us when we become ill. So the CDC recommended that we not wear masks so people didn't run out and grab the limited supply of PPE that we had. But that should not be the case. The reason we have a limit on PPE is because the government, the people that are tasked with protecting the people of this country, haven't been doing their job and manufacturing or dictating that companies manufacture protective equipment to the numbers that we need. So when I say it's bad that the CDC did it, it's because people should not be prevented from being able to protect themselves from the virus. So even now, when you go to the site and they say that that people should be wearing masks, one of the guidelines that they have on there is to not wear a mask that's designed for medical professionals. And what that's telling the people is that there are ways to protect yourself from the virus, but they don't want people actually using that, which that's a problem. So it's kind of a sticky situation, because we need to be creating more PPE so the medical professionals have what they need to do their job, but we also have to have the PPE so if people in the public want to wear legitimate protective equipment to protect themselves from the virus, they can. The government should not be dictating whether or not you risk your life, right? All right. Well, I didn't want to drag this on for as long as I did. I'm sure I missed something. If you have any questions or comments about this, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I'll try to reply to as many as I possibly can. If you have any questions, if you need links to reputable sources, like I said, I found this on eBay, so they are on there. I'll try to post them below. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.